Hey guys, I've got something really exciting today. What we're going to be doing is creating a non-alcoholic carbonated cocktail. This is going to be a bottle cocktail as well, so you can take it on the go. What makes this video quite unique is the way, the production method of creating firstly a non-alcoholic gin, Tanqueray in this case, and then also taking advantage of what we've created from that non-alcoholic gin and carbonating the cocktail with that. This is all in my mind at the moment, so hopefully all the concepts work, but we'll get straight into it. The first thing we're going to do is create the non-alcoholic gin. We do that by using a standard Tanqueray imported London Dry gin. We're in Australia here, it's 40% ABV. We're going to be diluting this down to about 9% ABV. So to do that, we need to add a certain amount of gin and dilute it with water. Alright, so I've done my calculations. To dilute the gin down to 9%, we'll be adding 135 millilitres of Tanqueray. The density of gin is quite similar to that of water, where 1 gram of gin would equal 1 milliliter of gin. So going to 135 grams. $139, that'll do. Beautiful. To this we'll be adding 465 mils of water. The final volume is going to be quite large, it won't fit in that glass. I've transferred the gin into my old shaker bottle. This is not a permanent solution, just something we can use to mix it all together. So got 135 mils of gin inside. We're going to be adding 465 mils of water, which should be quite a lot. 330. Another one here as well. Pardon the mess. 428 mils. Add a little bit more, just so the maths works out. 437. Okay, we add a little bit too much gin as well, so that should balance out a bit better. I'm probably going to transfer this into something glass now. Boom guys, here we go. I've transferred this into a nice glass, mixing glass that I've got stored. I've created a label of everything we will be adding to this. So I did this off camera, but I put a splash of apple cider vinegar in there as well. The reason I did this was because during the process, this process is called oxidation that we're going to be doing. So we've diluted the gin down. Now we need to let the outside bacteria infect the gin and convert the alcohol into acetic acid. So the same bacteria that does that is in apple cider vinegar, because I mean technically what we're going to be making here is a gin vinegar, which is really, really exciting. You can probably see, if you hold up to the light properly, little bits of yeast floating around. Well, not really yeast, it's just little bits of bacteria. That's called the mother of the vinegar. That's what it says there, with the mother. So hopefully that kickstarts this reaction. I've read online it can take anywhere between 6 weeks and 4 months. I'm adding the date there, so we should see something by then. I'm just going to be sealing the glass vessel off with just a little bit of paper towel and a rubber band. That'll just keep all the nasties out, but still let a bit of oxygen in. There it is. We're keeping it in a cool, dark place for the period until in which it turns into vinegar. So pop it away and we'll come back to that maybe in another episode. In the meantime, we're going to be working on the second part of this cocktail. It's a bottled cocktail. It's going to be carbonated. So once we make our non-alcoholic gin, we're going to mix it with other ingredients to create the cocktail. I'm not sure exactly. Depends on how the gin turns out, what cocktail we're going to be making. But I know it's going to be going in this 250 ml snap lock bottle. Now, to carbonate this bottle, it's almost impossible to do with any other industrial methods, because 1, it's too expensive, and 2, it's too hard. So we're only going to be making 1 bottle, so I found an easy way of doing it. At the end of the day, when you create your gin vinegar, you're going to have basically a high acid content. That's what vinegar is. It's got a strong, it's going to be acetic acid in this one. So I thought a fun way to turn that into a cocktail that's potable first and foremost, and carbonated, is to neutralize that acid. There's going to be a little bit, in all cocktails there's always a bit of lemon juice, lime juice, sort of an acid component, whether that's straight acetic acid straight into the cocktail, or if it's in the form of a shrub, in vinegar's case. So we're going to be neutralizing the vinegar to a point where it's a nice balance for the cocktail, but not so much so that it becomes a bit too sweet and a bit too boring. To neutralize the acid, we're going to be using bicarb soda. Now, while we wait for the old gin to turn into vinegar, we're going to be mucking around with apple cider vinegar and a bit of bicarb soda to find the right ratio to carbonate a bottle of this size. Now, if you had a larger bottle or a smaller bottle, you'd need different combinations of these two ingredients just to create the right amount of CO2 to firstly pressurize it, but not pressurize it so much that it explodes in your hand. Now, It's quite a dangerous thing to do, so always make sure you're taking the proper precautions. This bottle is really cool because it's got this seal here, which when closed off is airtight until the point where the pressure becomes too great and it leaks through the top. So there should be little risk of this exploding. I'm going to be creating the reaction in a certain way. I'm going to be adding something. I'm going to be adding the vinegar in excess, which basically means I'll be adding as much of this as I can, and then measuring how much of this I put in to create how much CO2 I want. Once I figure out the volume of this in there, I know how much of this I need to react with that. If that makes sense. So yeah, let's get that done. So I was in Amsterdam recently, and as you do while you're there, you look at all the tourist hotspots, and walked into some marijuana accessory smoking store, and they had little scales here which are really handy for making cocktails that measure up to 200 grams to a dimension of 0.01 of a gram. So this is going to be really useful for a situation like this where we want to measure out a very small volume of a certain product. In this case it's going to be sodium bicarb. We'll be measuring, we're going to start with 1 gram and see how that goes. Alright, so we've got 0.92 grams, we'll start with this. Now the next difficult part is going to be getting the sodium bicarb into this bottle here that's going to be having some vinegar in it without it reacting. Now we need to do that because if it reacts too quickly before we can seal it off, the gas is just going to escape and doing the pressure. So I'm going to set up this bottle in a way I can do that. So first what we need to do is put a little bit of apple cider vinegar into our bottle. Now like I said, this is going to be in excess, so we want to put enough in there so that it reacts with all the sodium carbonate, and then we'll be just topping this up with a little bit of water as well, just so we have an approximate volume of what our final cocktail is going to be like, and we can see how carbonated this comes out to be. So there we go. Now I just need to get that sodium carbonate in that bottle somehow. Alrighty guys, so here's my, I guess, ingenious way of how I'm going to do this. I've sort of rolled up the sodium bicarbonate in the baking paper that we had there and wedged in the top. Now the idea is I'm going to put the cap on. As I put the cap on, it's going to fall in. I'm going to seal it straight off, and I'm going to put this little baby over the top just in case there's too much sodium carbonate. Pity about it being dirty. It's one of my housemates. He doesn't do a very good job of cleaning his stuff, but this should fit just over the top like that and protect any shrapnel that comes about. So we'll see how we go. I wonder if I can do this on camera. Maybe just rest it on top. Cool. As soon as I close this off, we're pretty much live. So, oh, look at that, it's jammed in. Oh, cool. So if I just give that a good smack, that should fall down. It's sort of jammed in the top, but it's not jammed into the lid. So just over the top. Just gonna let that baking paper unwrap. Okay, I think it might have all been dissolved actually, guys. Because the baking paper is completely unwrapped. This is floating in there now, unless it's still sort of wrapped. Let's have a good close look. You don't see any bubbles being created. I mean, let's just open it and see what we got. Here we go. See how carbonated it is. 3, 2, 1. Oh, yeah, that popped. Got covered in it. You can see that, but there's a little bit of fizz happening as well. So, I mean, that's going to be the basic premise. Maybe there's an easy way we can get the carbonate in there. But yeah, we'll see how we go. Alright guys, so I went to the pharmacy, of all places, and I found some empty gelatin capsules. Now I'm pretty sure if I filled up a gelatin capsule with probably about the same amount of sodium carbonate as I just did there, and capped it off and dropped one of those into the solution, the vinegar should eat away at the capsule a lot easier. And it should take a little bit of time as well, so it'd be a lot easier process. So let's give that a go. We have one of our first capsules. Sodium carbonate, 1.1 grams. That should be plenty. It's a full capful. We'll chuck it in and just see how it goes, I guess. I'm just going back to the bottle that we created earlier, and if I give this a good shake, you can see how carbonated it is. So that's going to be perfect in terms of the volume of carbonate. Well, it stinks of vinegar in here. All right, so I've got another vinegar water solution. Vinegar in excess once more. This time we're going to put the gelatin capsules straight in the top, close it off, and I'll probably film it just from, because I think it's going to take a while. You want to pre-batch these, so at the end of the day you just chuck one in, put the cap on, and then leave them overnight, and you come back the next day and it should have dissolved. So I'm not sure how long this will take, but it's not going to be a very instant reaction. So you chuck it straight in, there it is there. Not doing a whole lot yet, but eventually that vinegar will eat away at the capsule, releasing the carbonate. So you can see here, guys, the sodium carbonate reacting with the vinegar through the gelatin peel. Leave it overnight and the gelatin peel will completely dissolve, which is great. So this video has just been a proof of concept, just to show that it can be carbonated like this. In the next video, we should have our gin vinegar completely ready and we can make a really tasty cocktail with it. So if you enjoyed the video, give me a like and a little subscribe, and we'll speak to you later.